Go through the warm-up as usual, and then we'll do some of the stepping and footwork. Important thing is kind of getting this area, and I always talk about the rigidity that's on here. So, you know, it's something that is tied to stress, and they've kind of, through their research and discovery, they've found that the core area and the axial muscles are actually pretty much tied to your adrenal glands. It's kind of mapped together like that. And, so there is a response that causes tension in the body. It's something that I didn't know exactly how it was happening, but the thing is I would always talk about let's get rid of some of the tension in here through movement. So movement is essential, and you have to get your body moving in order to get rid of some of the rigidity, because rigidity and tension is a conflict of movement. So trying to get rid of some of the tension by moving is something that we struggle with, but at the same time we have to learn how to do it. So this is what I try to get you to understand, that when we stand in the shoulder width stance and we have our hands up like this and we're turning and twisting, that actually helps, because we're moving the body. It can't be excessively rigid if you're moving. But you may have the rigidity that might be dominating the motion. You can't get that to happen. So the best thing you can do is at least try. Don't think that, because kind of sometimes mind over matter. If you work the movement and try to copy, you can maybe develop some freedom of movement, and maybe that will help you to begin to discover what you're still developing is some relaxation in this part of the body. Okay, so getting your body to twist and turn is kind of, it is a motor skill, but it's kind of creating the movement through this voluntary action. So we bend to the side, that kind of still works. But aside from that, circulation happens best with movement. So you want to learn to move your body. So actually we just have 3 different directions that we're doing this. We have this 1, then we have 2, side to side, and then we have 3. We lift up and we go straight forward, and we stretch kind of the back of the legs, and then you relax the back, and you go turn to the right and to the left, and then inhale on the way up, exhale on the way down. Okay, then let's try that again. Lift up, reach down, 1, 2, 3. To your right, to your left, center, inhale, exhale. So I also mentioned that when you go down, if you're very stiff and tight and you haven't stretched for a while, just support your body a little bit. Just go down as far as you can, and then turn to your right and your left, and then back up. Okay, then we're going to make some circles like the old hula hoop. You just kind of move your body like that. So if you couldn't do the hula hoop back then, it's probably because you couldn't make the circle. So now we have to try to do it. So it's virtual. We're just making a few circles like this. And then we reverse to the other direction. And then next we're going to hold the kneecaps, cross the arms, bend the knees, and we're going to do a circular movement like this. 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now we'll go the other way. So just do 5 or 6 just to get the joints working. Now, any of these exercises, you can do more of them, but I just want to, because there's a few of them, I want you to just get familiar with them, and then you can do them a dozen times or 18 times, whichever you feel comfortable with. But that's the knees, the hips. Now we're going to do the neck, and we turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and center. Back and forth. So it's a bit of a stretch. Always just lifting and bending the head forward. And just do it as slowly and relaxed as you can. We're not holding any of the positions because then you'll get tense. Tip to the side. And then center. Now go down. Make a few circles. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going the other way. 1, 2, 3. Okay, hands up. Remember, this is a deep breathing exercise. So we inhale when we pull toward the face. Exhale, we're still up. Exhale when we go down. So you inhale all the way to your hands out here and up on your toes. Exhale and release and everything goes down. Okay. More freeing up of the back, so we're going to turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, good. Shake it out. Then we're going to go into this V position. Hands on the waist first, then we're going to straighten the feet. See how I did that? I pivot on the ball of the foot, the ball of the foot. So that squares up our stance. It's kind of a little box down there between the toes and the heel, edges of your feet. Now we're going to kick the heel out, turn here, and bring the hands up and go forward. We worked on this last time, and we turn back to center, and we're going to switch the sides to this side, and we go forward and back. And then we turn back to center. Here's a parallel position, and we're like this. Forward and back, turn, turn, switch, forward and back, switch, forward and back, switch, forward and back, and we turn, switch hands, forward and back, and we turn. Here we are like this. Then we bring it over to here, and we switch hands, forward and back, and we turn back. Here we are. Go to the other side and switch. Now that's 180 degrees. Now if I did this, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Here's my front position, same side as that toe up position, here and here. Now if I step up, I switch hands, forward and back. Okay, so if I twist my foot out and step up, I switch the hands, I go forward and back. I turn this foot out, step up, switch hands, and go forward and back. So that's advancing forward, moving your feet like this. 1, 2, 3. Step. 1, 2, 3. Step. So we're doing that in increments of pivoting, checking, and stepping through. So this is my right foot, your left, if you were following me in mirror image. Here's 1, here's 2, and here's 3. So there's 3 positions that you have to go into. So the first position, that position where I have the toe like this, is a 45 degree. I have this position when I go forward and back. I toe out 1. Is the center, 2, and we move the hands, and I go forward. Then I hold that foot a second, and I move this foot 1, 2, 3. And I switch the hands again. I go 1, 2, toe out, step up, and I'm here, and I switch the hands again. And I go forward, back, step through, 1, 2, and I switch the hands. I go forward, back, I toe out, that's 45 degrees. Check the weight, step up, and switch the hands, and you press. So if you notice, when you're in the vertical position and you press, you're on the leaning front side on the same side. On the opposite side, it's the same. If I were to step through, it would look like this. Check, pass through. I'm on my left side now. If I press and I hold this thing, sit back, toe out, check my weight, and I switch my hands and go forward. So that's really something that we do in Grasp the Sparrow's Tail. Grasp the Sparrow's Tail is a series of those movements. But the important thing is to try to get this vertical and horizontal working with the legs that go forward and back. Okay, so that's a piece of the Grasp the Sparrow's Tail that usually has 4 movements. And those of you who have done this, it would be 1, 2, 3. And then you go back to this position and we turn, switch the hands, 1, 2, 3. Then we hold that and then turn to the front, turn to the opposite side, switch the hands, 1, 2, 3. Hold the hands. So this is like this now. And we have one on this side. On this side, we're going over to here. Switch the hands. 1, palms down, inside hand up, push. We go back to center. Switch the other side. 1, 2, palms down, inside hand up, push, and we go back to the front. Okay, so that series is Grasp the Sparrow's Tail. It's in the form, but it's just a series of movements. Is 4 in each set. 1 on this side. This would be my right, my left. If I was facing this way, you would see this is left, this is right, and the mirror image is like this. So mirror image is backwards to you. So when I'm doing my right, you would do it on your left. If I'm doing my left, you would do your right. So it's a little tricky to follow, on video when we're doing the sequence. So that would be a little bit more complicated because sometimes it's mirror image, sometimes it's following from behind. So then the other thing I like to do is to get your hands and feet working like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, then we switch the other side. So the opposite hand and leg. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're going to do it again on the other side. So it's opposite, you see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2. Go in the opposite direction. Now we use this foot. So it starts like this. The best thing to do, or the best setup is this. Then you can go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it does take a little bit of practice, but you have to understand that when we walk, we essentially Okay, so watch the move. 1, 2. Now when I take my first step, and I take my next step, and my next step, and my next step, that's actually how we're walking. So the upper body should turn a little bit so you can track the movements a little bit better. See? So this has to come through, comes through. You're going to go backwards, it would be like that. So it's a relationship. The right and the left side has to build a certain coordination that lets your body feel balanced as you transition. Now the body is very tight and stiff. You can't detect or actually test your sensitivity to that relationship. So without a kind of an understanding, you can't really recognize why we would do this. But the thing is, because it does involve your musculature, you have to teach it how to do this. So the only way to teach it is to do it over and over again. We're creatures of habit. You have to do it just to get your body aware that this happens. So then after a while, most of us, don't pay attention to this kind of moving, mainly because we just, go from point A to point B without actually thinking about how this all works. Just like when we say, hey, turn the corner, turn to corner. So this is my foot pivoting on the heel, So whichever side you're trying to get to, if I go this way, I pivot this foot. If I want to go this way, I pivot this foot, and then I take my step. 1, 2, 3. If I want to go this way, 1, 2, 3. If I want to go toward the camera, it would be like this. If I continue to pivot around, that's what actually happens. And I follow with the step. I turn, turn, turn. So if you learn how to pivot your feet, then you might have an advantage into changing directions, which if you didn't do that, you might have a little bit of trouble getting your feet to get over there because you feel that you might have to take a couple of steps in that direction. But really, if you just turn on the heel of your foot, you'll head in that direction. And that's really getting your body to recognize how it pivots on the heel without actually taking a step. So learn to pivot, learn to shift your weight, and then you can begin to take your next step. Because once you pivot and you support the weight there, then you can go forward, then you pivot, then you can go forward, then you pivot, and then you can go forward again. Okay? So that's something that that takes a little practice. That's turning and changing directions. Now, if you go forward, I really talk about right, left, and center. But you go forward, it's just right and left, right and left, right and left. So we did a 3-step forward and a 3-step backward. That allows you to work within a smaller space. Not everybody has a big room to practice without any furniture or something in the way. So if you have a corridor, you have to practice 1, 2, 3. You have to practice your 3 steps. Then you go backwards 3 steps, forward 3 steps, and then kind of mix that up with your hands so you can practice the forward movement like this, and then backwards 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So the backwards are a little awkward in the beginning because you don't know which way to go forward. 1, 2, 3. When you go backwards, you have to move the foot first and let the hands swing, and it really will give you that exchange between the right and left sides. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now that's a front view. You can't really see exactly what happens. So it's going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So when I step, my foot goes forward with the arm, 2, 3. Now let's just initiate from the legs. And then you go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So you see there is a coordination that you do have to build. If you have a little trouble, just do the front 3 steps and you go 1, 2, 3. And you can pause and you can actually turn in a direction so that it would be a supplement. You 1, 2, 3. Your feet are together. Turn, right. Now this is left, right, left. I'm going to turn, left, right, left. I'm going to turn, left, right, left. Turn. So if I turn this way, then I go right, left, right. Turn, right, left, right. Turn, right, left, right. So once you pivot in this direction, you head in that direction, and then the back leg takes the step. If I turn this way and I take the step, then I'll go that way. So it's really a training tool to get you to turn in a direction and be able to pick up on, how that should be done. So I think keep getting these. A lot of them are robocalls. So the thing is, when we take our steps, we have to be able to first make a directional change. So frontal's easy. Your toes are always taking you in the forward direction. So just follow your feet. And remember, we do the exercise in the shoulder width, but when you're doing the stepping, you want your feet closer together, maybe 2 or 3 inches between the insides of your shoes, and you just walk in a little bit more of a streamlined action directly forward. And then don't tip forward. Keep your spine back as straight as you can, because leaning forward will want you to feel like you're toppling forward, because your center is actually coming forward and you're not as stable. So stability is really keeping your body as erect as possible, and then when you turn to the right, left, just don't bend. We bend to stretch in 2 directions, but here's your middle. So everything is stacked up. We turn, we're here. I take a right, left, right. I turn. If you want to pause, I take a right, left, right. So if you're more comfortable, you just work it so that you're always stepping with your right foot. So you just get that that concept in to take you in that direction, and you just take your right foot. So remember, when you turn in this direction, in order for you to get into position, you have to take a step with your left in order to move your right. Because when we're here, we're already kind of weighted here, so I can't actually move this foot. So that's why it would be easy to pass through with the left, or reset to here and then initiate another move on the right side. So you have to, in order to initiate the move, you have to kind of carry your weight onto the other leg before you take that step. So that's something, if you understand that concept, then you'll be constantly working with that. And by working with that, your body will eventually build some understanding of that. Now, consciousness is something that you have to focus on, and conscious of how to do it, how to learn it, how to improve on it. And over time, things will start to change. So the other thing I do is I make these circles. This is a circle going clockwise, and this is a circle going counterclockwise. So when I move forward, I 1, 2, 3. I'm down here. 1, 2, 3, and then I'm here. 1, 2, 3. I'm here. 1, 2, 3. There. 1, 2, 3. Forward. 1, 2, 3, and back. 1, 2, 3, and forward. 1, 2, 3, and back. So that's basically the things I've been working on. And then to fill the time for your exercise routine, you want to end it with a deep breathing exercise. So this, I do it 3 times generally. You can do this throughout the day. It's a deep breathing exercise. Inhale and exhale. It's also improving your balance because you're going up on your toes. You may not see that. You might not see the fact that I'm actually lifting from the heel and then down. Inhale and exhale. So there's a bit of information in those tutorials that you can use to practice daily. You can practice as much as you want or as little as you want, depending on how physically taxing it is for you. But, it shouldn't be very physically taxing because we're not doing it very fast. We're not doing it with a lot of strength. It's really using more of a mental energy, using your mind to understand, what we're trying to learn, to be cognitive, to be more conscious of what has to happen for the body to do what it needs to do. Because if you're conscious of it, then you're paying attention. So, one of my understandings is that your subconscious behavior, which is really what is subconscious behavior? Those are the habits or the things that you've learned throughout life that happen automatically and you don't think about it. Like walking is something that happens in your subconscious typically, but then when you begin to lose the ability to walk a certain way, then you have a little trouble trying to figure out, so why can't I do this? You can't do it because you really didn't understand how it's supposed to happen or really understand the body mechanics behind it. So when we do these walking drills or stepping drills, you're just getting familiar with your lower body. And what you have to do is, that's what gets you to move your legs. So you have to kind of get familiar and condition some of the habits that you've had in the past and modify them and change them so you're much more aware of how to do it. Do it slowly until you start to understand a little more about it, and eventually, hopefully, as long as you're conscious of how to do it, you will use your conscious effort. We call it in Tai Chi conscious intent. So what is your intention? I want to go in this direction. Get your mind involved to know that you're conscious of going in that direction, and that we're moving my right foot first and then follow it up. And always go to 0 position where your feet are in this parallel position, change directions, and then initiate a step on your right. Just get that in as a habit, and then things will start to sort of formulate in your mind and understanding, and the next thing you know, who knows what will happen. It's sort of trying to prevent things from progressing. So the more you do this, not hundreds of times, but regularly. Regularity is important. Do it 3 or 4 times a week. Deep breathing, a few steps, some of the warm-ups that we're doing, or all of the warm-ups. Doesn't take a whole lot of time, and see what happens. Right? On that note,